So anyway, so welcome. This is the first of what I hope is many online sessions for the spring semester of, um, let's see. Oh, I almost said the dirty one. No, this is the EE 1020, um, of course, which we are going to learn how to solve engineering problems using such tools as MATLAB. So anyway, so where was I going before I got it so rudely interrupted? Um,
We
Hang
were
on.
discussing what we needed to download
Oh yeah,
before
okay,
I
yeah.
picked
We
up.
were in. I was talking about the grader. So about a year ago, maybe 4 semesters ago, we first introduced the grader, which is a website provided by MathWorks, who is the makers of MATLAB. And what's great about the grader is you work on your homework problems in a MATLAB environment online, and you'll write the code based on what you think the solution to the problem is, and then you'll hit a button that says submit, and it will go through a series of assessments that we have put together. I say we, mostly Holly Moore, but I did assist. In fact, if you look at the acknowledgments of the 2000, no, of the sixth edition of the textbook, I'm mentioned in there. Ew. So anyway, back to the grader. As you're doing your homework, you hit submit, and it does those assessments. If it's right, you pass and you go on to the next one. If not, it'll pop up with some feedback on things that you might look at to improve it or make it right. Now, is it perfect? No, it's not. There are so many different ways that things can be done, and to, have feedback for every single possibility, it's just not possible. Um, but, I've been working with MATLAB since, oh, I don't know, way back when Moby Dick was still a guppy. So I've been with these students. I know what the mistakes they make along the way. So I've been able to go through and tweak it, for my classes to help them a little bit more. In fact, there's one I need to go fix. You'll get an announcement here when we get close to chapter 5. Um, there's one problem with the assessment, and as great as, and a lot of students like the grader because it does give you that instant feedback. Whereas if you're working in the standalone version and you have problems, then you got to send a message to your instructor. I don't want to pat my own back, but I try to answer all incoming messages when I'm not at work within an hour. I have my iPad sitting there. It notifies me when a message has come through. I get in and I help you out. During the work hours, it may take me a little bit longer because I have to break away from what I'm doing, but I do have access to my Canvas stuff at work. So I can assist during the working hours as well. But it's not as instantaneous as the grader. The downside of the grader, and I have improved it considerably since Holly first wrote these problems, is it is very meticulous. If it tells you that this variable needs to be called uh, Yoda, and you spell it with a little y instead of a big Y, it won't pass. I've had one problem come up where a student with a problem wanted you to take half the distance between a couple of objects, and one student did the calculation before entering it into the code, and the graders rejected it. And it was only because, I mean, it was an even number, so you had a definite, this is half, but the grader still wanted you to do like 5,000 divided by 2 instead of 2,500. You got the right answer. You did the problem 100% correctly, but because of the oh, I can't use that word, not in school. Um, how precise the grader is, you'll sit there and bang your head against the wall when you've got the problem right. You did it right, but the grader, is kind of, so, if as you're going along in the grader and you're looking at it and you've spent, 10 minutes or so on it saying, this is right. Why doesn't it do it? Send me a message. I can go into grader and access, um, every attempt that you've made. And I can pull up what you've done, put it into either Grader or my own standalone version and execute it and find out what's going on and why it doesn't. And most of the times I can pick it off. The one with the 5,000 divided by two, that one took me the longest time to figure that out because, okay, 2,500, why? And then I just started replacing parts of the equation until I finally replaced that. Poof, it worked. And it's maddening. Um, so, hey, Nicole.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I feel like a pile of sand in a room full of cats.
Oh no.
It's been a bad day, bad week.
I'm
I,
sorry to hear that.
I've been working with this man for 17 years. He was my right hand man. I was his boss. He did everything I didn't want to do. And then his father-in-law offers him partnership in his business out in Wendover and 5 acres of land to build a house and all the materials to build a house. He just had to do it. And
Oh
so,
wow.
he chooses that over me. I mean, I just don't
Oh, so
understand some
sad.
people. And so now I'm doing my work, I'm doing his work, and then our procurement guy is out on a project for the next 45 days, so I'm doing his job. And I'm
Oh
going.
wow.
Okay. So anyway, um, hey Cole. So I am recording this, so just beware. Anything you say or do will be out for everybody to view. Um, we were talking about the grader. It has great points. It gives instant feedback as you're working. Um, but it does have its little quirks that everything has to be 100% correct. If the problem statement tells you to use X sub n, a capital X and a little n, and you use two little n's or x's and an n or it won't do it. So any variables that it specifies, make sure you use them. Oh, and another one, when we get into this one is very annoying. Um, Holly, if you're watching these videos, just skip that part. Okay, you didn't hear me say that. Um, I think it's in the chapter 7 when you're learning inputs and outputs. Uh, y- yeah, you're best to copy and paste whatever statement they say to have your output look like because you can't tell if there's two spaces in there or one space or I mean it just yeah. Anyway, so if you have problems with the grader and the feedback that you get doesn't help, send me a message. I have my iPad set up to receive notifications from Canvas. So if any student sends me a message, I even get messages when you submit your homework. I'll jump online and I'm more than happy to help you. I don't sleep at night. I'm lucky if I go to bed before midnight. So if you're up late working, shoot me a text. Least I could do, or most I could do is just ignore it till the next day. But I will do my best to. I mean, I'm here to assist you guys to learn this material, and I can't do it if I'm not responding to your cries for help. So anyway, I am going to go to the home page here and then share my screen, and we'll go through some of the stuff here in Canvas. So you guys have the distinct privilege and or I don't know frustration to be the last students to use this Canvas site as well. Actually, maybe the summer students will be using it too. I don't know, but Holly and I are going to and the Canvas people, we're going to redesign the layout of this website for this course. So at least fall of this year, we'll have something different. Anyway, so this is the homepage in Canvas. You should be familiar with it. I have it set up so that it posts the last three announcements that were made because I had students say, "Well, I didn't see the announcement, so I can lead you to water, but I can't make you drink." But at least here you can go in and see that there were announcements. There are a lot of them that are scheduled to be posted in the upcoming days. You guys are very fortunate to be the first class since I started teaching this that I went through every single announcement to make sure that they are going to come out on the right day. I don't know how many times I have to tell, oh, sorry, that was supposed to come out next week. And so yours should all come out when they're supposed to. Um, this is new this semester. Uh, I stole this from we had a new professor teaching this course last semester, in the in-person course, and he had this stuff up here, and I'm like, wow, why didn't I think of that? So as you're doing your homework, here's a link to the Grader website. We'll show that here in a minute. And here is our Zoom meeting with the ID and passcode. So, I mean, you'll notice that I did send out an announcement that I was online and that information. That's just, me. Old habits die hard. I'll still send it out because you don't know if I'm there or not. I mean, probably if you try to go on and I'm not there, you'll notice I'm not there. But so anyway, so here is some stuff that you'll probably would like to see. This one here. If you come in here, you can get a copy of the syllabus. I think it's updated properly, although, no, that's my SolidWorks class has the reference to the wrong textbook. Goals I didn't change, but the schedule, syllabus over here, schedule's over here. I went through and created a Excel spreadsheet that lists all the due dates for everything throughout the semester. I think I got, I emailed it to you guys early, and then when I was playing in here and I noticed these assignments down here were all kinds of messed up. So I emailed you an updated one that's more gooder. So that's available here. Um, probably the most, oh, don't go there because that's just down. So here, okay. So you'll be doing homework in two locations. One will be the Grader website. Um, uh, and that link is up there, and we'll go there in a minute, and I'll show you that how to get around in there. The other part of the assignments. If let's look at an assignment here. So down here, so these ones, usually the ones up on top tell you to do the stuff in the MathWorks grader. And then these down here are in a standalone. The standalone version is, this takes a minute to open up, so we'll just wait for it to come in. The reason I do that is the grader. Well, that's where I was going there. Zoom user earlier was why the grader is good, but not really the best for you guys. It allows you to get your instant feedback. However, um, 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 it doesn't teach you the layout, where the buttons, where the menus are, how to actually function inside of MATLAB itself. In the grader, you get a window where you do your coding, and that's it. You don't have the execute now or execute and the skip and all the other things, how to create a new folder. So by giving you a few problems to do in the standalone, that's more work for me, but I'm willing to sacrifice my time to grade those. But I think it helps you guys to learn how to use the software, because it doesn't do much good to know how to program it if you don't know how to use the software itself. See, I tell you, it takes a long time for this thing to warm up. So this is a let's see, what's this? This is 2023B. This MATLAB. So you can move these windows around. Uh, I hate doing it because it's hard to get them back in. Let's see, you can put that over here. I like to keep them separated because then I can see your code in here and the output over here. We'll get into that in a minute. But see, you got all these things up here, the new, the open, all this stuff over here, which you'll get familiar with here really quick. But when you go to the grader, um, so we'll come in here and you'll look at a problem. So let's go to problem come on. 2.1, and if we go to the learner preview, this is what you'll see when you get into the grader. Okay, so it'll give you the problem statement up here. So it says, type the following expressions in MATLAB and observe the results. And so down here is where you do that. And then when you're done, you can tell it to run scripts. So let's do this real quick here. 5 plus 2, 5 times 2, and then we'll just put a whole bunch of garbage in because I don't want to do all your homework for you. Sheesh. Gotta leave something for you guys to do. And then see if I run this now, it's going to give me an error because you can't leave things unassigned. So I'll just make all these equal to 4, only because that was the key I was on. And so when you run the script, it'll execute that code and display the results down here. So 2 plus 5 is 7, 10. But now this is where you get into trouble. So if you hit submit, the first two will be pass the assessment, but the rest of them won't because 4 wasn't the answer. And don't tell my daughter I used 4 because according to them, 7 is the answer to everything, not 4. So see here, here's an example of the feedback. Must contain the square root and cosine. But this is pretty much what you'll see. Now, the first few problems, we do stuff like this for you. We put in portion of the code. You'll fill out the rest. But by the time you get to these later chapters, well, actually, it starts in like chapter 3, homework, and 4. It reduces how much we provide you to begin with. Then you got to start learning how to put all this stuff in on your own. When you get done and go through and all of these things, if you click on the header here, it'll show you here your progress. And if you're done with them, for you, it'll show whether it's red or green. Green means you got them all right. Red means you got problems. Take a screenshot of that, and that's what you will submit for your homework assignment. It's just a screenshot of the homework. And it's best if you can show me all of the problems that are assigned. And then, so let's say there's 7 assessments and only passed 5 of them. I'm not going to mark you down for that. I want to make sure that you've tried them all. And even if you failed them, still think you've learned something. So any questions on Grader? Does everybody have access to Grader? I haven't checked that.
I mean, I just pulled it up and I did have access to it, but
okay, so
I haven't tried any.
Those are all the people that have access to it. So I'm only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people who haven't connected yet. So that's cool. And that's another thing that's touchy too. I had one semester try, and we tried several different email addresses and everything. It just would not allow this one student to connect to that Grader course. So I created another course just for that student, and it let him in. Go figure. It must be run by Microsoft. Okay, I didn't say that. Yes, you did. I heard you. If you got problems with Grader, let me know. I'm more than happy to help you and work you out. And see, and this is where I don't know if this will right here. If there have been any students that have made any attempts in there, I can click on here, and it'll show you show me everybody that's done anything in here, and I'll look for your last attempt, and I'll copy that in and put it into either. I like to go into you like to go into what? I'd like to go into a coma, then I can have a vacation for a change. Then I'll bring your code into the learner preview and run it here so that I can check the assessments to make sure that the changes that I think are necessary are actually working, so I don't tell you some false doctrine. So anyway, that's background stuff you don't really need to know. Anywho, so back to this guy here. So that's you can get to the Grader from this button right here. That pulls you up. Boom, there it is. Cool. Far out, right arm, out of state, all that other good stuff. Um, right here is a link to practice exercises. I've had a lot of students complain that why do we have to bother with the practice exercises? They're only worth 10 points. Well, they are worth 10 points, and it can drop you a grade. Um, uh, but they're worth 10 points because you have the solutions right here. This will give you a PDF format of the solutions. Is it not working? Or if you download this one here instead of hitting the button. Yeah, there we go. Come on, open, open, open. There it is. It's opening over here in the other window. So this gives you the practice solutions to all the practice sizes all the way up through chapter 13. There are none in chapter 1 and there's nothing in chapter 14. So that's available that's why it's only worth 10 points, because you have the solutions. You can go in and just put the solutions in and finish it. That was for back in the day when we were doing everything in a standalone. This one here is something one student asked me to do for them, and I thought, okay, that took me a couple of hours to do, so I'm going to make it available to everybody if you want it. It may be, I think it still coincides with the e-copy of the textbook, but I went through and put down the page number for all of the practice exercises and homework problems throughout the entire textbook. Um, so you can use that if you want. It'll help you navigate through the e-reader. I don't like e-readers myself, but then I'm an old fart, and it's hard for me to change my ways. So that's there. So once you have a grade entered for your homework assignment, you can also come to this link, which was off of the homepage, um, and download the solutions to the homework. If you struggle with something, the solutions will be in there. You can take a look at it and say, "Oh, yeah, that's what I should have did." And it's necessary to say that, otherwise the solutions won't open. Okay, maybe not. I gotta quit doing that. So anyway, um, that was off of the homework assignments and practice solutions. MATLAB, extra credit. There's a few extra credit problems, possibilities in there. Uh, I know the squirrel, unbeatable squirrel, is still valid. Access the book, show me a picture that you got in there. The robotics club, I need to find out from, I think it's Quentin, if they're still doing the robotics club this semester, to see if that one's a valid possibility. Um, come back here again, and videos, any of the videos that I record for this course will be put in here. So spring of 2023 was a wonderful semester. They contacted me like 2 weeks before the semester started and says, "Oh, hey, by the way, this semester we're not using the 5th edition textbook. We're using the 6th edition, and all the videos and PowerPoints we have no longer work. So you got to lecture each chapter." So here's all the chapter videos I did during that semester. If you don't like what Holly's done, you can come in here and and you'll notice if you watch even just the 9 that are in here, I don't know where the rest of them are. I tend to go off on tangents. I don't know how I can be talking about how to program a Fibonacci sequence and be talking about, you know, water skiing rabbits out in Bear Lake. That'd be kind of cool. I wonder if I could do that. Oh, stop it. Um, okay. There's several ways that you can get into your homework. Probably the best way is to work through the chapter modules. You come here and just follow along. If you're working in chapter 2, come to chapter 2, and it'll go through. Holly put together these things. She put a lot of time into them. I don't know what all that stuff is. Oh, this looks like, wow, cool. Um, but there are um, PowerPoint presentations that you can go through, and there are also now, I think, every chapter that you
Welcome
get.
to MATLAB for Engineers.
Oh, good
This
grief,
is the
Holly, you scared
first
the
in a series.
bejeebies out of me. Um, so you have all videos now in this website are coincide with the sixth edition of the textbook. I just put the seventh, chapter seven in, I think it was Monday. Was it Monday? I don't know. It was just recently, but they're all there now. And you also have, um, if for those of you who are very industrious and want to go on and above and beyond um, um, the scope of this course, you can come in here to streaming videos, and there are links to chapters 12, 13, and 14 in here. You're more than welcome to take a view of them. But let's see, I think they're all. Oh, what chapter 10 is that? There are only two. Oh, I think she was still working. I wonder if she has a. I'll have to go back and check. I'm going to write a note. Hang on a second. I'm going to write a note. Chapter 10. Chapter 10. Okay. Any questions? I know, I realize I'm just rambling, but I don't know. Maybe you have some questions. Like, are you ever going to stay on topic? Probably not.
You mentioned earlier that there was something we had to download on our computer.
Yes, MATLAB. Hang on a second. My desk is falling apart. Uh, yeah, you'll need to get a copy of MATLAB, this software right here on your computer. You have access to it through the Canvas. No, that's the wrong one. Let's see, which one? Which one? Where did? Hang on, hang on. If you go back to the home page on Canvas and scroll down here, here's where you can download it, and here's the instructions on how to get it installed. Because a portion of each homework assignment needs to be completed in the standalone version. You can do this if you have problems and you just, for some reason, just absolutely cannot get this to function on your computer. There is all access through Salt Lake Community College. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. You will be by the end of the semester because that's how you'll be taking your exams. Let's see, SLCC, all access. So it's just, whoa.
A follow-up question.
Yes,
Do you know if it's Mac friendly?
I, I, I don't know of anybody that's had problems with MATLAB on a Mac. I know SolidWorks is a no-no. Um, I've had so many students with problems with SolidWorks that, and I've even talked to uh, two different local resellers in the Salt Lake Valley about MATLAB and uh, not MATLAB, SolidWorks and Mac, and they say no, they can't do it. They have to set up a special partition in their drive to make it a. Oh, come on. That's just that. I have more security getting into all access than I do getting into my own phone, or even into the community college's website. Come on. It's serious. You want a blood sample of my firstborn child, too? You can have them.
Along with your social security number.
Sorry, I gave that up a long time ago.
It's okay. It's still useful.
Yeah. So here's MATLAB Desktop. You can get in here, and this will give you a full version of MATLAB. Um, I think the lab in the SI building, SI downstairs, like SI 75, I think it has MATLAB on it. Wants to use my microphone. Don't. I don't want you using my microphone. Go away. Um, so here's MATLAB. This works. It's kind of slow. I've also had reports, although it's been many years, because there for the longest time they were charging $100 for a student version of MATLAB, to where we finally started giving it out. But back when they were charging it, students was using the all access, and they'd lose data. It would just shut down on them in the middle of assignment, and it hadn't saved. And so, but anyway, that is an option. Try it. Well, let's go to the MathWorks website and see what it says. Makers of MATLAB and Simulink, academia. Oh, let's see. Let's see. Where are system requirements? Path of success. Why are you making so much noise over there? Oh, people got to leave me alone. I'm online teaching a class. Go away. Leave me alone. Um, I will find out for sure on the on Mac. Um, but yeah. Uh, let's see what it says. Reference. Math system. There you go. So yeah, as long as you make their operating system stuff, it should go on. Okay, where were we? Let's see, online tests. There are only two tests in this class. One after chapter 6, which is user-defined functions, and then one after chapter 10, which is, I want to say, symbolic math.
Is it on just those two topics, or is it covering
Well,
2 to 6?
it'll be chapters 2 through 6 are building blocks to get you into learning how to use MATLAB. Chapter 2 is just basics, assigning values to variables, doing mathematics, trigonometries. Chapter 3 covers something that at the bottom, it's dealing with arrays, um, trying to find max and mins, and things like that. Chapter 4 um, covers something. Chapter 5 covers plotting. And chapter 6 covers user-defined functions, where you go in and create your own functions. And you say, whenever I've used them quite a bit. I used, okay, so chapter 3 is built-in functions. Chapter 4 is manipulating numeric arrays. And then chapter 5 is plotting. But you will use the user-defined functions. It's easier to do a user-defined function, then you'll call it up just like you do any normal function in MATLAB. So you don't have to rewrite that code over and over and over again. I was doing some data collection from some bench testing I was doing, uh, and I needed to convert the data from hexadecimal to decimal, and then I had to process the data. And it was just, I just created user-defined functions to do all that, and just send the data file in, and it kicked back out what I needed. So very useful. Okay, so this is Canvas. I guarantee you're going to find something on Canvas that doesn't work, a link that goes somewhere that's not supposed to. Please let me know so I can fix them. I spend probably 2 or 3 days at the beginning of each semester going through, trying to catch everything, trying to get all the dates set up right. Um, but I'm only human. Well, I'm almost human. I tend to miss a few things. Um, Again, for submission of homework, um, you'll take a picture of uh, this chapter here where it shows all the problems and your progress in it, and submit that screenshot as your assignment from the grader. For the MATLAB, the standalone version of it, you're going to be creating. Oh, that's a test. You can't be looking at that now. That might have even been in your file. So when you get into the standalone version, you hit a new script over here. Uh, this will create what's called an M file. M as in Mark, Mary, Mother. Um, and it's called an M file because if you could see oops, the extension, I don't know if I have any M files in there. It's a .m. The .mlx is a live editor folder, and you probably ought to just work in live editor because that's what the exams are going to be presented in is live editor. What's a live editor? Hang on a second, I'll get to it. Um, so the thing with MATLAB is, so this is the editor window. When you download and install your MATLAB, the command window will be up here, going all the way across, and the live edit or your editor file will be down here. I don't like that because I can only see a little bit of the code. I like being able to see a whole lot of the code and the output on the other side. It's doesn't matter how you do it on your, because whatever you do on yours doesn't affect what's on mine. The only thing that does is if you start programming pathway to where data files are stored on your computer and you put that into your code, that just throws up a whole bunch of sparks and fireworks that because it don't work because that file that's on your computer doesn't necessarily mean it exists on my computer and I can't find it and it won't run. So just do the default, which is to the current folder. What's a current folder? This is the current folder. See, it says so right there, current folder. What this is this is the folder where MATLAB is doing all of its current work. So anything you create or save will go into the current folder unless you specify otherwise. If you create a user-defined function and it's not stored in the current folder, it won't find it. So it needs to be in the current folder. However, that's old data now because now you can put your user-defined functions at the bottom of your M file or your live editor file. You don't have to. When we first started teaching this class, when we did chapter 6, the students had to submit like 30 different files because you have the main script file, which called up all of your user-defined functions and then all of your user-defined functions. But now you can just do it all in one file. It's so much easier on the grader guy. So anyway, so you get into the grader. I'll show you here the difference between an M file and a live editor. Um, so here you can just type in, say, R equals 5. Okay, yeah, so what? Okay, then we'll say that area equal to pi times, where'd my times button go? R. Okay, yeah, so what? You can do nothing. Okay, oh, wait, there we go. Oh, look at that. Press the digitation. It did it. So here's the R equals 5. So what this does is this assigns the value of 5 to a variable called R. It doesn't say R is equal to 5. This in MATLAB says assign. If you want to find out if it's equal, you have 2 of them up there. But we're not into that part class yet. So this assigns R the value of 5, and then it comes down here. Pi is a built-in function, which you'll learn in chapter 3. It is assigned the value of pi, which is approximately 22 divided by 7. My daughter, my eldest child, has a song that I got to get those pronouns in. A song that they found and they listened to so many times that they can repeat it from memory that has pi to like 100 decimal places. And I'm like, okay, 3.14159 is more than I'll ever need. And so, oh, wait a minute, that's wrong because R is supposed to be squared. You guys didn't catch that. So, shame on you guys. Pi r squared is the area of a circle. And so now this assigns pi r squared to a variable called area. Okay, and so how did I get all these numbers over here? They just keep showing up. Oh, no, they're not showing up. Okay, so there's several ways to execute this code once you've created it. One, you can come up here, and I'm going to hit this button over here. You guys don't have that one. It's something that I built into mine to clear the screen. I got tired of typing in CLC and clear and close all and all this other stuff, so I just created me a button to do that. So you can come over here and hit run section. So everything in this area is called a section. So that executed it. Now, if we had more than one section, how do you create a section? I'm getting there. Hang on. 2% signs followed by a space, and then whatever. I would prefer that you label each new section with the problem number that you're going to be working. That way, I don't have to try and look at the code and decipher which problem you're doing. It's right there up front and center. So let's say k equals 9 down here. Now, if we come up here and we tell it to run, oh, there's a couple more codes here you probably might like. The CLC, that's clear the command window. So if we execute this, if you highlight and right mouse click, you can do execute selection, and it'll execute just that code. If you hit run selection, it'll run everything into here. You notice it didn't do the K because that's in a different section. So, and you'll see here this blue bar says that this is the active section. So we can sit here and run this forever and ever and ever, and it's never going to change because it's clearing it out and putting it back in. But if we do run in advance, it's going to run this section and advance control down to that one. So you watch, keep your eye on the blue block. Chink, there it moved. And now if we run it, k equals 9. Okay, that's how I grade your homework. I make sure that each problem is in a section, and I go through and run in advance. I've done these problems so many times, I know what the output is supposed to be. If the output comes out different than what it's supposed to, then I go back and look at the code and find out where your errors are. Either that or, some students have um, leave these messages I don't really like. They tell me that they didn't know what they were doing and couldn't figure out the problem. And I'm like, why didn't you contact me? That's what I'm here for. It's what I get paid for, is to help you figure out these problems that you can't figure out on your own. Um, that's what I'm here for. It makes me feel good when I'm actually helping you guys, because I feel like a thief when I go cash my paycheck when I haven't done anything. So anyway, so you'll notice here in the M file that all the output is coming over here into the command window. And if we look over here in the workspace, we'll see that we have area, K, and R. Those are the variables that we have defined. And if we want to clear them out, then I highly suggest you use a clear at the beginning of each new problem. Now keep your eye over here. That's going to all disappear when I do the evaluate. Poof, that clears your workspace. Why do you want to do that at the beginning of each problem? I'll tell you why. So let's say problem 1 here, that we define R as 5, and then we come down here and we've been working hard and diligently and doing all of our homework in here in section 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We needed R to be 7,000, and we're doing well. Okay, let's say we need it to be 2 pi. Come on, you know how to do this. You've been doing it for a while. Sine of R, and we think that it's 2 pi because that's what the homework problem says, is R is 2 pi. So we type in there T equals R 2 pi, sine of 2 pi. But when we execute it, hang on, we cleared the variables. So we ran this one here, check that it works. Then we come down here and we run this one. Well, sine of 2 pi isn't minus 9.95. Why? And that's because clear back here in this first problem is where we defined R, but didn't do down here. So you'll notice that if we come down here and put a clear with only one R, you get an error because R is undefined. Okay, yeah, that's right. So R is equal to 2 times apple pie. No poi, pie. There we go. Okay, does that make sense? Any got confused on that? Because I am.
No, it makes sense.
Okay, so this is the live. This is the M file, and this is how we and when we get to chapter 5, I'll show you how to put. I don't want to get you guys really confused right now by putting user-defined functions at the bottom. I'll confuse you when we get to chapter 6. Um, the other option here is to use a live script, and like I say, this is what's going to be done in homework. Oh, we'll say, well, that looks different than the last file. Yeah, because you got this boring, obnoxious line running down the side of it. I hate that line, so I move it that way. It's gone. No, it's not. It just isn't needed yet. So here we're going to come in and say P equals 54. And if you don't want the output displayed to your screen, put a semicolon. Oh, that's one other thing I should let you guys know too. If you're over here in this one, you'll see an orange bar in this column right here. And when you put your cursor over the top of it, it says terminate your code with a semicolon. No, that's okay if you do that on the building, like up here. I don't care that it displays 5, but if you put, so now you see it only puts out the answer. But if you suppress the answer as well, I don't see nothing. And like I said, I grade your stuff by running your code, and if it doesn't display anything, I can't see anything. So I got two options. I either go through and take the time to remove all those semicolons, or I give you a 0 for the assignment. Okay, I'm not that mean. I just complain a lot when I have to remove all those. So if you want to put semicolons on the end of all your defining statements, go for it. I don't problem. But please leave the final calculation out so that it displays. So that you'll see that there'll be orange bars over here. But over here, um, now we're going to take W is equal to the square root, SQR squirt of P. Is that a big P or a little p? I guess that's a little p. Okay, so let's do CLC and a clear. So now when we run a section, instead of putting the output over here, it's going to put it down here underneath that box. Oof. There's the answer right there. You notice nothing's over here. It's all in here. It's still in the workspace. It's just everything's in here. The reason I do the exams this way is that when I go through and grade it, I will execute each one of your problems and I will leave it so that you see what I see when I'm grading it. And I think hopefully it helps you understand the grading process. And this has new sections too. You can do that by doing a section break. Um, You can do as many of them as you want. If you want to write a note up here, you come up here and go to text, and you can go problem 3.2, and then come in here and take out one of those P's because you're going to save some for the weekend, and then start writing in your problem code. I used to have a spreadsheet open to tell me what I was supposed to cover, so I'm hoping I'm covering everything. Vectors. Oh, sorry, that was a nasty word. We don't use that word anymore. It's not a vector, it is an array. Um, so we use arrays in MATLAB. This is a 6th edition terminology thing. For five editions, it was always a vector, but now it's an array. Sorry, Holly. I don't think she even watches these things. Um, so let's do an array. So come on, let's get inventive. How about an M? So you'll have a starting point, let's say 1, and if you do a colon, if you do 6, so what that's going to do is give you an array called M that has been assigned a value of 1 through 6, and without any kind of an incrementation in between, it defaults to 1. So it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But let's say we wanted to increment it by 0.5. So if we do 0.5 with a semicolon, so now you have your starting value, your increment, and your final value. Whoops. And now when we execute that, you're going to have more digits. Okay. So now let's say I'm gonna go back so we can see this and just go back to that. And let's say that K is equal to um, let's see. I think you might learn line space in the first few chapters. Line space. It says line space, but it's technically it's linear spacing between a starting point. So let's go negative pi and pi. So and pi and pi and pi. There we go. So in linear space, lin space is the starting point, the ending point, and then how many values. And what do we get? I think we'll have 6 in there to make it equal to m. And so what that does is it makes 6 elements between negative pi and pi that are equally spaced. So you got 6 and 6. So now if we wanted to multiply this by this, and if we just, you would think that you could just go, we haven't used an F. That's me because I'm a failure. If we just try to go M time K, it's going to scream at you. Say the dimensions don't match up, it can't do it. That's something we learn in later chapters when we get into linear mathematics. But if you want to go element by element, if you want to multiply that by this by this, and verse by this all the way down the length of here, if you put a period, I call it an element operator. I think that's even what it's called in the textbook. That tells MATLAB to go into those arrays and multiply them one by one. And so this is very important for um, whenever you're multiplying arrays, raising an array to a power. So let's say that O equals F raised to the 2, okay, it's going to scream because you can't do it. It's not the right size for doing matrix mathematics. So you'll just do an element operator in there and it'll go element by element and raise those powers. And then another one, um, let's take O and divide it. Oh, we got to assign it to something. Why do you have to assign it? Because that's what we do. That's what we do in this class. T is O divided by M. Start from the beginning here. Okay. Anybody know if that's going to work or not? And why? I tell you. Okay. You cannot divide by a matrix. It's impossible. It's like dividing by 0. You can't do it. It is not allowed. Oh, good grief. I got to get going because I got SolidWorks. Anyway, so do a dot element and then you can divide by a matrix. Any questions?
Not right now, but I'm sure I'll reach out to you.
Yeah. This is this a good time for you guys? I mean, you had 3 of you show up, which is probably a record. I want to find a time that works best for everybody. I'll post an announcement asking for a day and time of the week because the more that I can get in, the better off it'll be. And it's just you and me, Zoom Hooer. So yeah, so the more I get in, the better it is, but I want to cater to those that are actually going to show up every week. If you can make it here every week at Wednesday at 7, but you can't do it at Thursday at 9, then, I'll do it Thursday at 7. So anyway,
I'm available pretty much from noon on every day.
okay. Um,